Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by French professor who's going to give you the Clueless American's guide to Bad Bunny and his new album Nadie, Sabe, lo que va a pasar, Mañana. Now, I take that title and the thumbnail from another YouTuber, the Fat Asian, who has this whole series on soccer, and it's dedicated to Clueless Americans, sort of helping us understand how the Champions League works, how the Premier League works. It's a very good channel. But I'm being a little bit tricky in taking this title because, you see, I am not an expert who is informing you, the Clueless American. I am also the Clueless American, okay? I am just trying to understand Bad Bunny. I'm trying to understand what he is, what this kind of music is. I'm reminded of a time in the 90s when I used to check Entertainment Weekly and they had the Billboard Top 10. And there's a period of time where like every single week the number one album in the country was by someone named Garth Brooks. So I grew up in the 90s, I'm thinking it's going to be all Beastie Boys and Nirvana, and it was just all Garth Brooks. I didn't understand like country music or modern country music or anything about it. I didn't really have any way to get into it. And maybe you feel the same way. Bad Bunny was the best-selling musician of 2022. More than Taylor Swift, okay? And I don't even think Bad Bunny's dating either of the Kelsey brothers. So my ignorance is profound. That's the slogan of the channel. By that I mean there's a lot I don't know, but also in not knowing we can learn a lot, right? So come along with me as I try to take you through this album as a typical stock American consumer of rap music as he tries to understand what seems to be a very foreign piece of work. Now, I'm using the word foreign on purpose. I'm trying to be provocative. In fact, the title itself is trying to be provocative because I am putting some kind of division between American and Bad Bunny, implying that Bad Bunny is not American. And of course, he is Puerto Rican. And of course, Puerto Ricans are American citizens. They have American passports. They don't immigrate to America. They move to America, okay? They do not enjoy the same civil rights, do not enjoy the same status as all other. It's very confusing, like they can vote in the primaries but not in the general elections. It's all very confusing. I suggest you look it up. But it's an important thing to remember that that's the first thing we need to do when we understand Bad Bunny is maybe think of it as being less foreign. Just because it's in Spanish doesn't mean it's not in some ways American. Because if Puerto Rico is an American territory, and if Puerto Ricans are American, then wouldn't Puerto Rican music be American? Now, careful. I'm not saying that, okay? Because that's sort of appropriating another culture and sort of saying, oh, everything's American, right? Obviously, Puerto Rican music and culture is very influenced by the Caribbean, by Latin cultures, and so to just call it, just a little branch of American culture is inaccurate. But at the same time, it's not entirely foreign. And I think that's an important way to understand it. In the sort of the same way that, for me as a sort of coastal elite, I had no way of understanding the country music that Garth Brooks was making. Even though this is Latin trap music, and I listen to a lot of Latin trap music, it's taken me a while to understand it and treat it sort of the way I treat trap from Atlanta. Music from California, just sort of a different form of rap music. And I think that's the best way to approach this music. The easiest way to get into Bad Bunny is not to go, oh, this is Latin trap, oh, this is Puerto Rican, oh, this is that. It's rap music, okay? And it happens to be like very good rap music. So it's Puerto Rican, it's American, it's Puerto Rican rap music. Do you know about the great erasure of Puerto Ricans in hip-hop history? It is amazing. In particular, I highly suggest you get yourself a copy of this book, okay? Breakbeats in the Bronx by Joseph E. Woodsey Jr. This is one of the best books on the early days of rap music and hip-hop culture, in particular because it pushes back against a couple of sort of bits of common wisdom about how everything started and helps to really recontextualize something that happened in the beginning of hip-hop culture, which was the erasure of Puerto Ricans. As a reminder, hip-hop started in the mid-70s in the Bronx. Okay, and if you don't know anything about the mid-70s Bronx demographics, there's a 1976 article in the New York Times, April 19th, 1976, entitled Blacks and Puerto Ricans, a Bronx Majority, in which it explains how it's the first time in the history of New York that one of the boroughs was a majority non-white. I even have a little graph here for you so you can see that obviously in the 70s there's a huge population decline in the Bronx, but you see green is white as they leave, blue is black, blue is Latino, which you can tell are also leaving, but at a less of a quick rate than the whites and the black in red. Okay, so this is the Bronx in the 70s where hip-hop was created, and it's having a higher Puerto Rican, primarily Latin population in general, Latino, Latinx, whatever term you want to use, a higher proportion in that area. And so it makes sense that when hip-hop started, a huge portion, a gigantic portion of its audience was Puerto Rican, was Latin. And what's interesting is when you read this book, what ended up happening was and again, I understand this is awkward, right? Because I'm just like a white guy. I'm wicked white, right? So I'm a wicked white guy from Boston, okay? I have a poster of Larry Bird up in my office, okay? So that's how white I am, and I'm talking about what different minorities did what. But I'm not making up this information. I'm quoting this great scholar, Joseph E. Woodsey, okay? So the way that he describes it is as, what was the term that he used? Symbolic capital. So the more symbolic capital, meaning the more prestige and eventually the more money that an area of hip-hop would get, the black participants would basically monopolize that area and push out other participants in hip-hop culture. So there's this way that he describes it, which I'm going to read for you now. I'm going to put on my glasses here. Again, this is Joseph E. Woodsey. Hip-hop was racialized according to the activity that offered the most symbolic capital. It was considered black because, from the start, DJing was the most lucrative source of fame, and most DJs were black. When b-boys mattered, they too, that's breakdancers, they too were mostly black. Puerto Ricans took up b-boying later when, in the hip-hop world, b-boying was going out of fashion. Similarly, Charlie Chase entered the game as DJs were slowly declining in significance. Like Puerto Rican b-boys who succeeded, Chase was able to thrive in part because DJing was losing its positions to MC as the most lucrative source of symbolic capital. Thus, hip-hop remained a black thing because MCing, the new face of the scene, was dominated by blacks. Kind of goes on to talk about how some Puerto Rican MCs tried to make an appearance and they got kind of boxed out. And so what's cool here, he's actually making reference to DJ Charlie Chase, who was the DJ for the Cold Crush Brothers, one of the most important groups in early hip hop. I actually have some artifacts here, which are just kind of fun. I'm going to share these with you. So this is an album that I bought at Biscuit Head Records in Boston like 25 years ago. I didn't even really know what I was buying when I bought it, but it's really awesome. So that says DJ Charlie Chase. Okay, in graffiti. Interestingly enough, the same thing happened where graffiti, when that had less cultural capital, more Puerto Ricans were sort of allowed in that space. That's why you have artists like Lee Quinones, who's one of the greatest graffiti artists of all time, of Puerto Rican descent. Same thing with b-boying, Rocksteady Crew, Crazy Legs, Shabadoo, anyway, whole history. But here's this DJ, okay, and you even see him there. Look, he's got a little Puerto Rican flag on his head, okay, DJ Charlie Chase. And this is a story, this is a recording of a DJ battle, an MC battle between the Cold Crush Brothers and the Fantastic Romantic Five at Harlem World in 1981, okay? That's how far back they go. Or this, you see? This is an original flyer from '82 where you had the Cold Crush Brothers there again. You see how it's presented by DJ Kool Herc, the original father of hip-hop, according to at least himself and most other people, here at the Railroad Club in the Bronx. Okay, so there has been an erasure. So I'm not saying that hip-hop is Puerto Rican, but it's a lot more Puerto Rican than our collective memory will accept. So when we're putting this all together, okay, maybe we should stop thinking of Bad Bunny as being so exotic and so foreign. He's an American citizen who is practicing an art that a Puerto Rican American citizen who's practicing an art which was partially founded by and for Puerto Rican Americans in the South Bronx. Right? Isn't that a fun way to look at it? But I know what you're saying. You're raising your hand in the back of the class. Yeah, but Skye, I don't speak Spanish. Ah, okay. Now we get to it. As you know, I am a language professor. That is my full-time job. And we are living in a largely monolingual country. If you live in the United States, we hate bilingualism. We hate multilingualism. We are, in general, in favor of complete and total linguistic hegemony for English. And I've said it on this channel before that this is a moral problem. Okay, that it is a privilege being born in an English-speaking country. It is a privilege that is not of the same level, but is of the same kind, a privilege of class, race, gender, etc., except that we don't recognize it as such. So thank you to Bad Bunny for not kowtowing to commercial pressures, for not deciding to become someone who can just go in English and just do it as everyone else is doing it. He's maintaining the language, and he is therefore a powerful force of linguistic diversity, which is important. Now, what can you do? Oh, clueless American. You can listen to the damn album. Of course you can learn Spanish. And listen, I've taken like 2 years of Spanish. It's okay. I can have conversations. I have tons of confidence, very little vocabulary. It's a great mixture. But I don't understand everything he's saying. This accent is so hard, and his vocabulary is very slang-ridden. I don't understand it all, okay? I don't understand it all at all. And I didn't have time to find a translation of the lyrics, or the translations aren't up yet. So I'm just kind of sitting here, and for the most part, like, I don't know what's being said. And that's just got to be okay. If you can't learn another language, at least expose yourself to other languages. Try to have the experience that other people have when they listen to music from America. You think someone from Indonesia who loves Michael Jackson understands what the hell "beat it" means? Okay? No. All right? You think someone from Finland who's sitting there listening to, I don't know, Garth Brooks knows what it means to have friends in low places? You know, like, we are constantly imposing our language on the rest of the world. So just spend some time being with this language. The nice thing is, every language has a different cadence, has a different rhythm. Bad Bunny is a master of the Spanish language. Okay? And I'm just saying that as someone who doesn't understand most of what he's saying. But his ability to control rhythm, to control his own voice, he's able to create rhythms with his voice. He manages to speak Spanish in such a way that is simultaneously smooth and hard, okay? That's the way he's able, and perhaps the language itself gives itself to that, right? It's very hard for English to be smooth. Our language is sort of Germanic in its basis for the most part. So we have a lot of kind of punchy, but there's like a smoothness and an elegance to Bad Bunny's rapping, and he is particularly good at, and so even if you don't pay attention to the words, just listen to the cadence, listen to the rhymes, listen to the way he goes from singing to rapping to talking to rapping with auto-tuning to singing with auto-tuning. All these things happen. Now, when I was listening to this album, I was expecting it to be, you know, all reggaeton, all dembo rhythms, right? Boom, chip, boom, chap, boom, chip, boom, chap. I just thought that because I thought that he was like I didn't know he was a rap guy. I thought he was a reggaeton guy. I'm the Clueless American. There's none of that. There's virtually no dembo rhythms. A little bit. A couple songs. I'll mention it when it happens. But in general, this album is just a great trap rap album. I guess it's Latin trap. I guess that comes from usage of minor chords. But what I love is that even though it's a trap album, it's rhythmically more interesting because the trap drums are less in your face. In general, the rhythms are like the drums come in maybe like 30 seconds, a minute into the song, and they don't last the whole time. Almost every song starts off with just his voice and a keyboard, and then other elements come in and build on it. But it doesn't have that same sort of repetitive feeling of many trap albums. And I think that's one of its great strengths. Really, it all holds together, and it all feels, in my opinion, more interesting than a standard trap album. I'm not saying Cinder Trap albums are bad, but it has something more interesting to it. I think the most important thing to know about Bad Bunny, this is for you. If you're just like me and you're like, what is a Bad Bunny? What does it mean? I don't get it. It all comes down to one syllable. Eh. 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 I don't know how to say it. Eh. Fonzie. I don't know how to say it. I can't say it. I don't have that cadence. Bad Bunny was put on this earth to say the syllable A. Okay? Everything else just goes from there. If you can buy in, if you can be like me, and every time you hear Bad Bunny, when I heard him on that Drake song where he was like one of the best verses on that whole Drake album, and I hear that A, like I am so excited. I don't know how he's able to pronounce that one syllable with such a trademark. He says it over and 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 over again, and every single time I am A. It's cool. He did the A thing, okay? It's like Jimi Hendrix playing guitar behind his back. I don't know what it is. It always works. What's great about it is he uses it to punctuate. So it's a declarative sentence at the end of a declarative statement, at the end of a line, but also he uses it to introduce what he's about to say. So it can be both an introduction and a conclusion to anything he says. Speaking of the artistry of this album, it's all the same producers. I mean, there's the Tiny, Mag, and La Placienda. They produce everything on this album. There are other producers who jump in from time to time, but it has this real cohesive feel to it. And it's a reminder that this is like a real artist. This is not some corporate created something. He could have got super producers, but he's not getting super producer. He's not having Metro Boomin on for one track and whatever hot producer there is right now coming in and doing whatever. He's sticking with his people. Beyond that, he had the biggest album in 2022. You're telling me that everyone wasn't begging to be on a Bad Bunny project? How many Anglophone rappers are on the Bad Bunny album? Give you a hint. The number is in between 0 and infinity. It's 0. None. No Anglophone rappers on the entire album. He could have got them all. Instead, they're almost all other rappers from Puerto Rico. Okay? He's building this movement. It's not just a good album. It's a good album that then helps to bring us to other albums like it. Now, my one piece of warning is how to listen to the album. Follow me, okay? I'm going to give you 2 songs to listen to start off. One of them I think is the best song on the album and one of the best songs of the entire year. I freaking love this song. The other is more of a straightforward rap song, which might be less challenging for you. But then when it comes to listening to the rest of it, take it slow, okay? It's hard. The issue with listening to music in another language is it's a higher cognitive load. It takes a certain amount of energy out of you, especially if you're paying attention to the lyrics at all. So just take it in a couple sittings. You know, it's great. The whole thing's great. The whole thing works. It's all fine. You're not gonna. There's no like bad part of the album. But just take a little bit of time. But let's start off with the stamp, shall we? Vaticano is the name of the song. Click above the Cold Crush Brothers, above the banana, to hear the song. Okay? This song, my first thought was El Jesus. Okay? That's my funny way of saying it's very Jesus-like. It has that kind of grim, dark feeling, a kind of blown out feeling. It starts off with this minor key. I think I figured out the notes. You know, it's like... And he just starts rapping over this, and it's mostly drumless up until a point where it's like... Doom, 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 doom. Okay, no, I can't do it at the same time. But you get the point, okay? And it's this real grimy 4-on-the-floor bass drum. Eventually some actual drum lines come in, but just for a little bit, these little twisted drum lines come in and then go away. It's like great dirty synthesizer sound. At a certain point it gets like ridiculously blown out. Like... And there's like some guy yelling something in Spanish. I don't even know what it is. It just kind of keeps going. This whole album, it just keeps going. It's a long album. It's like an hour and a half. It's 22 songs long. Every song is quite long. And part of the reason why is that he seems like he has a lot to say. He just kind of keeps going, keeps going. His voice gets manipulated and paired and over itself. And towards the end, there's like a siren, and then like a voice on a phone that seems to cut off. The voice dissolves. At a certain point, it sounds like the guys from Dune. It sounds like that. It's gonna screw me up the rest of the. Sorry. You know the sound from Dune, right? The sweaty guys covered in oil. That's how it sounds at the end there. And I have the lyrics here. I'm passable in Spanish, but la disco está prendida porque llegué yo, quien es el malduro, todos saben que yo, el capo ta en contra pole, sigo yo, conecta en PDR y en Nueva York, yeah. So it's, who's the toughest guy? I think that's what it's about. He then, in one line, makes reference to Hector Lavoe, who's like a Puerto Rican singer, and then immediately after that to Toni Kroos, the player on Real Madrid. There's a lot of soccer references on here. Props again to the fat Asian. That's what he calls himself, by the way. I don't call him that. I've never seen him in person. I don't know if he is overweight or Asian. I just know he makes great YouTube videos. But it's fun because there's a lot of soccer references all over this album, and now that I pay more attention, it makes more sense. But there's a lot of soccer references and baseball references, which I think probably goes to the great dynamism of Puerto Rico itself. And then just this great chorus, which I would love to try to sing along with the guitar. I don't think I could do it. Donde estamos, yo no sé. Quien tú eres, yo no sé. Dios. And it goes on like that. Amazingly enough, he sings it better than I do. But it has this kind of hypnotic feeling. And if you just listen to the way the vocals are produced, at a certain point, like his voice just goes super low and goes with no effects on it at all. And it's like hard, and it gets like singy, and then there's like auto-tune. It just goes all over the place. It ends with the words "Otra vez te menti," which I think means like once again I have lied to you. It's just tremendous production. Okay, so if you like good music and you like rap music, there's no way you can hear the song "Batikan" by Bad Bunny and not love it. Just get over yourself with your inability to understand the language. Put yourself in the position of vulnerability with open ears and tell me this song does not, in the parlance of our time, absolutely slap. Okay? Vaticano. I think that's I think it means Vatican. So in Spanish, B and V's are often pronounced interchangeably. I once had a weird interaction with a Mexican friend of mine when I lived in France, and she kept asking me, I went to Florence, she kept asking me what did I drink? I was like, I don't know, water. I probably had a Coke, maybe some wine. No, what did you drink? What did you drink? She was saying, qu'est-ce que tu as vu? When, what she meant to say, so she meant to say, but instead she kept on saying, qu'est-ce que tu as bu? So boire and voir in French to a Spanish speaker might be the exact same sound. I think that's why it's called Vaticano. But I don't know. I don't know anything. I'm a clueless American. But let's imagine that that's too much for you. Cool. Awesome. That's fine. How about I give you a simpler song? Mercedes Carrota featuring Chimi. Young Chimi? Cool, low, menacing keyboards, drive-by sounds, seguridad como el presidente Biden. It's nice to hear Biden references in songs. You don't hear those too much. He's rapping really low and menacing, great trap drums, really grimy sounds. And I don't know what a carrota is. I don't know what it is. I know it means carrot, but I don't know what the slang is. And that's the fun thing. I don't know. You don't need to know. And then this other rapper, Young Chimi, is just awesome. Just there's something about the way he raps. It almost feels to me like I understand better. Like I understand the language better. Like he has this cool way of like having these descending lines as he's rapping. This makes me, and this is a thing that great rap albums do. They make you want to find the collaborators and listen to the collaborators. Going back to Yeezus, that's why Yeezus is such an amazing album. That's one of the many reasons why. Is every single person who collaborated on that album is worth following, whether it's Arca or Gesaffelstein or right, like whoever it is that's there, you want to follow them and find out what else they're doing. That's how I feel about the guest appearances here. So that's my introduction. Okay, that's how you should listen to Bad Bunny. If you like this video, awesome video as always, AVAA, I'll guarantee you a heart. Smash the like bucket, subscribe, could do my Patreon if you want. You could buy a mug. I'm going to go through the rest of the album a lot quicker now, okay? Nadie, Sabe, very lush strings. This is kind of like the Vaticano song that I like so much. Just the voice ends up being the rhythm. If you actually put the dembow rhythm underneath his voice, it would work. Boom, cha-boom, 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 cha. And that's the thing, he's just so good at using his voice as rhythm. He calls himself a cowboy, he does some speaking, and then the choir comes in to sing this whole chorus, the title of the album. Let's see if I remember what it is. Nadie sabe lo que va a ser mañana. Pasar. Va a pasar de mañana. We'll see. But it's nice. It's the ambition of the album. It's this long, drawn out, lugubrious song that just really does a lot. It does a lot. It goes a lot of places, and it really sets the tone. Next track is Monaco. More strings and like a trap beat comes in. And this is more about like flexing and buying stuff. I don't know what the song's about, but I know what it's about. It's called Monaco. I hear Formula One sounds. I know it's about being in Monaco during the Formula one of the hive of scum and villainy of rich people you're ever going to have anywhere. It talks about being a multimillionario. Kind of repetitive flow that is broken up with what I believe is Charles Aznavour. And his song, Hier encore, sort of famous French song. I was listening to this with my son. He was like, hey, we did that song in my French class last year. All right. But it's nice because that kind of sets this cool French atmosphere. There's lots of nice sound effects. It does actually do a good job of making you feel like you are placed within Monaco. Next track is Fina. Fina? Fina be the pit. It's probably Fina. Featuring young Miko. Nice background voices, underwater sounds. It's like a female voice, really strong. Now I want to listen to her albums, Great strong rhymes, even if I don't understand what they're saying. And just more great Hebiki featuring Mora. And these are all, so far, Puerto Rican guest stars, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. In the beginning, I didn't like this song. Like, look at my notes here. I say, no, because I don't like it. No, but I actually sort of came around to it. He like slows down at a certain point, and like this four on the floor, boom, boom is going. And I was like working out at the gym, and this is great for working out. Mr. October is the next song. So it's a baseball reference, referencing Reggie Jackson, one of the greatest baseball players of all time, even though, well, he was one of the greatest baseball players of all time when he played for the Oakland A's and the California Angels. He had a spit there where he played for some other team. But, Mr. October, these like full trap sounds, but there's some more interesting rhythms in it. And I don't... Listen. In general, Latin music has more interesting rhythms than music in America, right? Why that is, I don't know. Is it possible there's a greater connection, a more direct connection to Africa and therefore African rhythms? I'm not an ethnomusicologist. I can't tell you the answer. I can just tell you that's often true. This, I think, even though it's trappy, feels more interesting. And here he makes reference to both Michael and Reggie Jackson. Only one of them starred in The Naked Gun Part 2. Cybertruck is the next song. Warbled, weird sounds. So did O.J. Simpson, now I think about it. Anyways, Cybertruck, weird, warbled sounds, really confused singing. For the first time, like in the fourth song of the album, we have like a little bit of a dembow rhythm, boom, cha-boom, cha-boom, but just for a little bit. This is replaced with a fast techno beat. And then he rhymes Tony Hawk with I don't give a fuck. It's one of the great things about rapping in other languages, Hawk and fuck can rhyme. Vu 787, this tripped me out. Because I heard it, I'm like, this is a sample. This is sampling Vogue by Madonna. But when I say sampling Vogue like Madonna, and I've already said the word Drake, you're probably picturing how would Drake sample Vogue? I think it would go a little something like this. Come on, Vogue, yeah. You've got to move with the music. I'm from the 6. Okay, it'd be something like, something like super whack and super direct. This is sampling Vogue, just the really high string. Just, not even the underneath. It's just the, almost like an EKG sound. The cool, mysterious beat. And I think he even says Vogue at some point in the song, but I don't know. And he says, I don't speak English. Thank you, Bad Bunny. Never speak English. Okay? You're going to help me speak Spanish. I mean, I'll speak it with a Puerto Rican accent, but that's better than the weird French accent I speak in now. Seda featuring Bryant Myers. Kind of a low, weird voice to start. But I like this other guy. He's a little bit straight, like a little bit more just kind of straight spitting as opposed to rapping. Gracias por nada. Thank you for nothing, which is how I say about the song. I just don't like the song. Just skip this one. Telefono Nuevo, though, featuring Luar La El, another Puerto Rican rapper, has this great gauzy keyboard and like there's like a sound of a beep, 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 a phone disconnecting, and then another part comes in, and Luar comes in. He's like this full hardcore rap guy. And he references both Messi and Mbappe. So both the second best and the greatest player in world football in the same song. Some like gun sounds, and then he sings too. I really like this guy. Whoever Luar La El is, I bet his stuff is really good. Then we get to like a dial tone, then he comes back. I'm telling you, there's so much. Every one of these songs is so dense. It's all like a journey, you know? And on this song, it's cool. There's a point where he says like, perdón mama, okay, which I think obviously means sorry mama, right? Perdón mama. But then he goes on to like hard verse, like harder than everything else. And please tell me, please dear God, if you are a Hispanophone, if you speak Spanish, am I wrong in thinking this is the best verse on the album? This last verse on this song. There's something about this that just says to me that it's the best. Pienso que es lo mejor, pero no sabe. No sabe nada. Soy tonto. Okay. I learned a lot of Spanish from listening to radio in Los Angeles. .com. Baby Nuevo. So we had a new telephone in the last song. Here we have a new baby here. Cool. More four on the floor club beats here. Rapping and talking. Kind of otherworldly sounds here to certain points. Sounds going left to right. And the quiet guitar bit. Then we get to that easy song, Mercedes Carrota. Then Los Peets, which is like out of nowhere. Out of absolutely nowhere. This maybe belongs more on the last one, the summer one. It's kind of like an easy breezy 90s jam with like a cool 808 cowbell. Vuelve Candy B. Don't know. Warbled sound again. I don't love this song. It's okay. But then it's followed up by Baticana, which is great. Then No Me Quiero Casar, which I think means I don't want to break up. Which is cool because it has like this old-timey Puerto Rican song, you know? And that's, you know, one thing that probably, I'm just going to take a guess. From what I know of Puerto Rican culture, Puerto Rican music of the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, it's sort of more in the general zeitgeist that young people know the music as well, like from their parents. There's less of a generational divide, you know, like all American kids don't walk around knowing all the words to all the, you know, Frank Sinatra and James Brown songs, right? But you get the sense that in a lot of cultures, and this is definitely true, like my wife's culture, Serbia, a lot of European cultures, I'd imagine a lot of South American cultures, Caribbean cultures, that there's a sort of like songbook. And so this feels like this is one of those songs. I just love this sound and the voice, just his voice. Bad Bunny has one of the best voices in music right now, just that tone that he has. Where She Goes is a cover of the song by The Laws. That's my bad joke of the video. I promise you it's not in my notes. No, it's a song where you think it's going to be in English. You fool. It's in Spanish. Zoomy keyboards, pulsing rhythm, actual reggaeton rhythm here. Well, dembo-like. More gun cocking sounds, thunder, lightning. I have no idea what that means. Featuring Eladio Carrion. This is someone who was born in the mainland born in Kansas, I think, but of Puerto Rican descent. This is where we get in these interesting questions of, you know, like, Puerto Ricans are American and American Puerto Ricans are American, but are American Puerto Ricans more American than Puerto Ricans? They have more American rights than American Puerto Ricans. It's all very complicated. And history is going to judge us very poorly, by the way, how we've handled all this, but what do I know? Great haunted piano that gets kind of doubled. I love how he lets someone else start off the song here. And this song becomes basically full drill. That's my main problem with this song is I'm just not a fan of the drill sound. I find it less interesting than trap. Next song is Perro Negro, which means black dog. It's a Spanish cover of the Led Zeppelin song. That was my second bad joke. I'm done. It is not a cover of that. Hey, hey, mama, Te veo, voy a gritar y... Yeah. This is featuring Fade, who's Colombian, according to my brief research that I committed while I was in the middle of a very boring meeting. I was sitting there listening to stuff about assessment, being like, student learning outcome, programmatic student learning outcomes. Fade, musician. Is it Colombian? Oh, Colombian. Interesting. He has kind of an interesting high voice singing, a little too much auto-tune on this song, but this one has the most just straight up reggaeton beat up until this point. And then we get to the song that was the biggest disappointment, Europa, with the frowny face emoji. So in my mind, I'm like, this is perfect. This is going to be a song. It's got Europe and a frowny face. It's going to be about how he is expecting to be treated well because he's a big multimillionaire, but he goes to the old country. He goes to Spain, and he thinks he's going to be treated well, but he's treated like just some dumb hick. Like they told him that at a dinner. Like they just treat him like crap, and it's racist and exclusionary, and he doesn't feel at home, and he thought Europe was going to be all these things, but it wasn't. The song is 14 seconds long, and it takes place in a train station. Or maybe an airport. I don't know what it is. It's the only short song on the album. I wrote a better song in my head. Next song is Acho Per. Basically a posse cut featuring like a New York Dominican rapper, a straight up Dominican rapper, a Puerto Rican rapper, a Puerto Rican Dominican, all kind of like everyone all together. What's interesting about this is stylistically, it's basically like a crunk song, if you remember that genre. And then the album ends with un preview. I don't know how to say that, not in French. And this is really the most straight up reggaeton song here, but I love the lo-fi drums that they use, and it ends up being an awesome closer to the album. So that's how this Clueless American appreciates Bad Bunny. These are my Patreons. They give me money so I can buy music. I think I need to buy some Bad Bunny because I really enjoy listening to this, especially that song, the Vaticano. That song just rules. So thanks to all my Patreons. Thank you. And there's something else I was gonna say. Puerto Rico. Oh, there's the camera.